with the knowledge of the differentiation or distinction of the mind and body, continuing with the knowledge of conditionality or cause and effect, continuing with the realization of impermanent suffering and non-self on the very basic level, then the realization of impermanence continued with suffering and non-self occurs in a more medium level, and from there it continues. And so these are all divided into 16 different stages, which have their individual names. And the aim of the student is to practice mindfulness, and the duty of the teacher is to guide him so that his mindfulness leads to these transformative stages. The word vipassana in Pali, it comes from two words, vi and passana, which means vi is through, into, clearly, specially, and passana, seeing. And it means especially to see the true nature of a reality, to see the true nature of the mind and the body, that everything inside of you and in the world around you is impermanent, it's suffering, it's non-self. And so if we're categorizing a meditation type, and we're calling this type of meditation vipassana, it means that there should be some realization of impermanent suffering and non-self, to the point where there's this transformative process that occurs. That means that eventually at some point you'll access the nirvanic element. And that's the ultimate aim of the practice. And so when the Buddha talks about there's this one-way path to the purification of beings, it means purifying the mind of greed, anger, delusion, which are the causes of suffering, overcome sorrow and sadness, be free from pain and suffering, see the truth of life, which is synonymous with realization of the Noble Eightfold Path, and to realize nirvana. That's the aim of the practice. And so in the preamble of the great discourse on the Four Foundations and on the discourse of the Four Foundations, this is what the Buddha's statement about this practice is. If you study the complete suttas, you'll see at the end of it the Buddha actually guarantees. There are two different types of suttas where he gives a guarantee. The Satipatthana, Mahasatipatthana Sutta, he guarantees, and also in the Metta Sutta, or the Garaniya Metta Sutta, the loving kindness discourse, he guarantees. In the mindfulness discourses, he guarantees that if you practice over a certain period of time, not exceeding 7 years, or which comes first, 7 years or your death moment, if you practiced continually from this moment until then, you'll reach a certain stage of enlightenment or attainment. In the Metta Sutta, he guarantees that the person who practices loving kindness in the way that he describes, that they will be born not in the human form. They'll go to the very high subtle planes of existence. And so in some of the teachings, he's quite clear about the results of the practice. For those of us who are just beginning, we might wonder, well, what do we get from all of this? And then I'll close the talk. The Buddha pointed out that actually, and Ajahn Tong reiterates, that there are 4 assurances for the one who practices mindfulness. Even if we only did some rising and falling and right goes thus, left goes thus, but if we have a regular practice of mindfulness without reaching the aim or the goal of the practice, we can be assured that when we pass away, we will have mindfulness. In the moment of our passing, the mind will be really clear, aware, and pure and mindful. And there's such a power of mindfulness that this will lead us to a happy birth. So we will have happiness. So the first assurance is sati, or mindfulness. The second assurance is sukhati, which means happiness. The pure mind will automatically be transported to the happy realm, or heavenly realm, or in a happier plane of the human being existence. Actually, human being existence is considered to be in the happy realm. So from the humans up, we're happy, and from the animals down to the suffering realms of the hungry ghosts and the demons, or what called asurakai, or the hell states, that's the suffering realm. And so actually the human beings were like, in the middle of these planes. We have the potential to realize the heaven here on earth, or to realize nirvana here on earth, as is the human potential. It's our birthright if we apply ourselves. And so he guarantees that we could, from this point, go to a happy plane if we practice mindfulness. And from the happy plane, he's assuring us that we have what is called upanisai, a latent character tendency. And Ajahn Tong says, the merit that we make from doing these good deeds, especially from the meditation practice, is never erased. It's never negated. It will always be with you, like an inheritance that you carry with you from lifetime to lifetime. And so if you happen to come to be reborn as a human being again after your meditation practice, you will be assured to continue. You'll have the latent character tendency, which will help you continue your practice. So you'll come back to the meditation hall, you'll meet the meditation teacher, or maybe you'll be reborn as a little novice or a little lama somewhere, and the teacher will find you. And so there's this connection point that occurs. You'll come back to a wisdom family. You won't be far from it. So there's a very strong karmic connection that you create with your practice. It's not just going to end here. And so we continue the work. We're continuing it now from where we left off before. And so this is called Upanisai. And in the case where we're reborn and not able to connect with the Dharma, at some point we will be able to meet a Buddha. And so Ajahn Tong talks about Upanisai as being ease of practice. And there were many stories about young men who met the Buddha and were enlightened very easily. And this is a condition of their having practiced ardently in a former time. The fourth assurance is called Insi, or Nibbana, which means if we really work at it in this lifetime, there's a very good chance that at the moment of death we can realize nirvana. And this is something the Dalai Lama also talks about, that the death moment is a very important moment, because many potentialities exist at that point. And so if we're training ourselves in mindfulness here and now, it will certainly help us at that point. And so there's the possibility, if we're very mindful from this moment onwards, and especially mindful in that moment, that you could enter nirvana at that point. And so depending upon how strong your faculties are, and here the word faculties, indriya, it is referring to what are called the 5 controlling faculties of the mind, which are confidence, energy and effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And so as you cultivate positive qualities in your mind, you can also reinforce these 5 faculties by reminding yourself what you have verified from your experience, so that you can strengthen your confidence in your experience of truth. Therefore, it's easier to apply energy and effort towards the goal. Therefore, you automatically cultivate more mindfulness, and with that, single-pointedness of mind begins to arise more strongly, along with that wisdom, which is ultimately liberating. And so this would be a kind of a general overview of the mindfulness process and how it works. All of us have the good opportunity here and now in this time to practice and to meet with like-minded people who are practicing. And so I think we're reaching the end of our time of the little talk, and this gives us a little extra time for questions or answers. And so I would like to thank all of you for joining us, and I wish to especially encourage each of us to continue our meditation practice. And I would like to also extend the merit from these talks to each and every one of us, and also to the earth on which we live and which we owe great thanks and gratitude towards. And so to the Mother Earth, the matrix of love and compassion, wisdom, into which all beings are born, with the option to create merit and perfection in this realm of the senses. Into this realm, the perfectly enlightened Buddhas are always born, the pinnacle of all beings, and this is where we also can work towards nirvana. And so I wish to thank all of you for coming, and may you all succeed in your practice and find the peace which you are seeking. So if there are some questions, then we have a little time, or comments. are welcome to. We could then sit for another few minutes and maybe make a merit dedication, if you like, or something. So perhaps another 10 minutes of sitting.